So tonight I've got a very special group of people on the panel tonight. We have some current basketball players and some former basketball players, but nonetheless, a group of people that are passionate about basketball. So if you're a basketball fan, this segment is for you. But before we get into it, you know how we do. If you have your favorite libation, raise them up, and we're about to get into it. Straight No Chaser. Salute, gentlemen. Which, by the way, I'm so impressed with the young guys, even though they're of age to drink, that they chose to drink water. So kudos to them. Way to take care of your bodies, guys.
I got to see that one.
Happen. So real quick, Antonella Cremonese, Zion will come back out of shape. So see, we're not the only ones. We're on to something here. You know, I don't know, man. Zion, like I said, man, he had a little friction between those thighs earlier. You know, earlier in the season, the shorts was wearing thin. So we'll see what kind of shape he comes back in. So great topic, guys. So I want to move the conversation along a little bit. One of the things I want to talk about, and this has been, and I had this conversation about 6 months ago before anything with George Floyd and some of these other conversations were starting to take place. I had a conversation with a couple friends. The big Frenchman was there, Francois. I was having a conversation with him, and I follow a number of different basketball outlets on social media. And with that, you're starting to see a lot of the younger basketball players be more socially aware and social conscious. And I had made the statement at that time, one of the things to look out for is that over the next several years, you will hear of high-level basketball players going to historically Black colleges and universities. I know the counter argument to that is, well, what about the coaching? What about the financial resources? My counter argument to that was, you have to start somewhere, because the reason why many of these programs have the money that they do is because they have players that have succeeded on a professional level, and then they reinvest back into that college, that university, their program, or their coach. You know, instead of this player giving $5 million or $2 million to name a new workout room in his mother or father's name, you know, now that money is being put back into an HBCU. My question is, and I want to start with the two younger guys, because these guys have been more recently involved in that process. I'm going to start with Josh, Julian, and then I want to go to Ken. But I want to talk about, should more elite level athletes go to HBCUs? And for Josh and Julian in particular, let's go with Josh first. Are HBCUs considered in your recruiting process? Was that something that you considered as a basketball recruit?
Oh, absolutely. I had a couple HBCU offers actually here recently. It didn't work out for me as far as the academic side, as far as my own personal downfalls, but it's absolutely should be considered. We have too much potential for us to not invest it in our own communities and ourselves and things of that nature. HBCUs are an amazing thing. That the culture is second to none at all.
Absolutely.
It's a movement we'll start to see more, especially with guys like Mo Williams getting hired at Alabama State. You got an NBA champion at an HBCU, so that's going to be a big draw in itself.
And they've already got a commit from Trace Young. I believe he's a 3 or 4 star recruit. Mikey Williams, he's already talked about with respect to his recruiting process that he is going to legitimately consider HBCUs. And I think he said something very telling, and that is, if you are a pro prospect, you are a pro prospect no matter where you go. There's pros coming out of smaller or mid-major Division I schools, you know. So this is something that I think, again, with this generation coming up being more socially aware, you know, you may start to hear more of this. Julian, what are your thoughts? I know, you know, you just recently ended your career, your amateur career in college, but were HBCUs part of your recruitment?
Yeah, definitely. Savannah State, down south, Johnson C. Smith in North Carolina. Yeah, those are definitely a part, especially the Black community, obviously. But I think the one thing that stands a big part between, you know, HBCUs and a lot of Division I schools that everyone wants to go to is money. And I think that's something that a lot of HBCUs don't have. And as an athlete, and that's we just being honest here, a lot of athletes want a lot of things. You know what I mean? You want the scholarship. You want the meal plans. You want, the gear. You want to look good. You want all those different things. And when you look at it, back when I was getting recruited, those HBCUs, some of them didn't have all of that. And you want to be comfortable. You want to be happy. Those are the things that you want, obviously. But now, being a little bit older, graduating from IU East, I understand that those levels don't matter. Division I, D3, wherever. It's about where you're going to be successful after you play ball, not just while you're bouncing that ball. You know what I mean? So I think that if these kids, these high schoolers can get the right information beforehand, before they get to these colleges and think about just bouncing that ball, then, HBCUs can be great, especially for job opportunities after, you know what I mean? So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think it just depends on that thought process, that mindset. And obviously, I'm 25 now, so I'm thinking a little bit bigger than when I was 18, 19, you know what I mean? So I think if these players in high school has the right person, have the right people in front of them, helping them make these decisions, then by all means, HBCUs top two, you know what I mean? So it just all depends.
Yeah.
Hey, Ken, I know you've been a proponent of HBCU. What are your thoughts?
All right, it's you gotta be. I'm a proponent of it, but you gotta do it the right way. I think if you're gonna go to HBCU route, it's gotta be the Division I route, due to the fact of the money. That's where the money is gonna come. Mm-hmm. Like if you got guys in the SWAC. Now just imagine if the SWAC basketball got a TV contract. See, that's where the money is. You gotta think where the money is. Like, you don't want to be D2 or D3, nothing wrong with it, but if the money, like if Mikey Williams, if he goes, see, now you got that game on TV, because they could play a Duke. They could schedule a Duke or North Carolina because they're in the southern states. So right. I think that's where they're gonna generate. That's like the young cat says, they don't have. That's where you start getting the gear and the stuff like that. When you get them NCAA checks. Them TV checks. That's what people got to realize. That's the whole reason the kids now go to a Michigan or Duke. They generating 100, 200 million for that school. Yep. Just imagine you got Morehouse getting generated 100, 200 million. Oh yeah, you looking good now, man. That Morehouse gear is fly.
Yes, man. Yeah.
You got the 3 pair of sneakers, the hoop in, the ones to work out in. Your gear is fly. So it's got to be where you can get the TV contract, where you're making enough noise, where you can say, man, you imagine if you got the Monday night game on ESPN, and all of a sudden you got Alabama State playing against North Carolina. Yeah. Mo Williams on the sideline. You got Mikey Williams playing for he going against the top cat that went to Duke. That's putting that you know what that check is like for Alabama State? That's a big check. Yeah. And see that's when the game will change. When you start cutting them big checks to the HBCU schools, athletic department, that's when the game will change. Because the kids coming after that will start to be recruited on a different level because them HBCUs got them big checks. It's all about the checks, man. Checks and balances. It's not about the sports, that. It's all about checks and balances. You got to put yourself in a proper position to get the checks. That's what I want the kids to understand. Things are not going to get better till you make the NCAA break bread. They want to give all the money to the Big Ten, the Pac-10, the SEC. No, make them break some of that bread to the SWAC. Make them break some of the checks to the SWAC.
I think to your point, one of the things that we're finding is, to your point, Ken, the NCAA will pay to watch great players. Exactly. Dayton is a mid-major, but Obi Toppin, lottery pick, they were on national TV.
Exactly. He was at Dayton.
Now you're starting to see John Morant games, so things like that. Follow the money. The money will be there if the player goes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Big Frenchie.
But what Ken said was prophetic. There you go, Ken. Nice. What he said was nice. But I'll put it like this. I'm gonna go another route. You're right. It has to start somewhere. If Mikey Williams does commit and does this will open up a floodgate.
Yeah.
I look at a team like, and it's a Division I, but Gonzaga. Once Gonzaga started getting a certain type of athlete, they started growing to the point that they became a basketball powerhouse. And it'll be like that for anywhere. So if they open the floodgates and they get the 5-star recruit to go down there and commit, that's when you're going to start seeing the money come in. If there is a problem with coaching, they'll hire better coaches. They'll adjust, but it has to start somewhere. And I think that I'm so glad these kids are now more socially aware. Yeah. And they're talking about it and they're getting it going because it has to happen. And with the one and done kids, like you said, if they can hoop, they're going to find them now, especially with all the social media and the outlets and the exposure. So if they can hoop, they'll be found anyway. It's not like it used to be. If you go somewhere else, then they don't find you. I mean, they found Jerry Rice, right? Yeah. So if you can play, they're going to find you.
Well, and I think that's something to be said because historically, there have been a number of African-American athletes that have gone to HBCUs that have played football that have gone on to excel in the NFL. But really the last great basketball player, and again, I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. Bobby Fields is the last great basketball player to attend the HBCU.
No, I would say Virginia
Dandridge,
Union.
right? Who there?
Virginia Union, Wallace.
Oh,
Ben Wallace, yeah.
Ben Wallace.
Yep.
Okay. But we're still talking, how many years ago?
Right. Right.
And he wasn't really heavy on the radar, but it was someone, that was able to make it. So I think if you combine A, someone who's on the radar, and B, being on the radar and showing that, yes, you can still make it to the NBA, that this is another path to success. To the big Frenchman's point, I think this opens up a floodgate.